Guys and girls, WWE fans, this is Ridge Wallace here with my RealSportsTalk.com on the YouTube channel, my Facebook channel, doing my Monday Night Raw review for this week's episode. This was a go-home show for Extreme Rules. This was the Memorial Day show for the troops, and overall I thought it was a good show. It was a 9 out of a 10. If you take away the Cruiserweight match and you take away the stupid segment with the Boss, Sasha Banks, and Fox, this is a 10 show. This show was really good from top to bottom. It started out good, and then it got extremely heavy the more we got into it, which was good. It was really a back-loaded show. Both main events were solid. The promos were solid. The story angles were solid. Everything about this show was great. I really enjoyed it. It's what I expected for the go-home show. And anytime WWE has a big pay-per-view that they're building into and they want people to watch, they really put a lot in that go-home show. And it was really good to see them do this. They were in Greenville, South Carolina. They don't come down here a whole lot. They don't come to North Carolina a whole lot. So anytime they do come, you get a lot of people there, a good energetic crowd. It's the equivalent of when they go to Chicago, or when they go to Boston, or when they go to Los Angeles, or when they go anywhere where they don't rarely go, or they have a lot of influence in, a lot of fans in. They get a good pop from the crowd, and they got a good pop from the South Carolina crowd. But let's dive right into the show. I'm going to highlight some of the stuff I really liked, and I'll breeze through some of the stuff that kind of really didn't gauge my interest, but I'm still going to talk about it. There's 2 segments I'm going to leave out, and you guys will find out what that is at the very end. But let's talk about it. So we start out with a tribute to the troops, which was awesome. Then we have Miz open up the show with a promo about his match with Dean Ambrose. His guests were Cesaro and Sheamus, talk about their match. Ambrose interrupts with the Hardy Boys. We get a 6-man match. This was good. This was a good way of WWE to highlight all 6 of these guys, especially in a show that was back heavy that I don't think WWE could really fit them in. They did a good job of getting all 6 of them taken care of, getting the 3 of the Hardy Boys and Dean Ambrose and Miz, Cesaro, and Sheamus, and getting them taken care of. Is a good way to adequately take care of 6 of these guys. And it was a good match. It was an entertaining match. It was not great. It was not bad. It was your average match. It was right in the middle, which I really, really liked. I think that the matches at Extreme Rules are going to be better. But I thought this was a good, decent way to open up Monday Night Raw. And then what happened next was an angle that we have not seen in a long time. Corey Graves got up and he left. And if you guys don't know, or if you're WWE fans and you ask, do announcers carry their actual cell phone? So like, let's say if I was an announcer, would I have my actual cell phone on me? Would my fiance be able to reach me during a live show? The answer is yes. Announcers have their real cell phones on them. Their family members are told, do not call, do not contact unless it's an emergency. But Corey Graves, he looked at his phone and he said, I'm sorry. And he got up and he left. And as a fan, you automatically assumed that something's going on with his wife, with his family. Something's going on back home. You expected for WWE to talk about it later. But he got up and he left. And then we had a match for Elias Sampson. And his match was great. It was a good match. He looked great. He looked dominant. But the main story of that match was not Elias Sampson. It was the fact that Graves was gone and Michael Cole and Booker T were not talking about it. They were not even bringing it up. So I expected something later on in the night. And it sucks because Corey Graves is a great announcer and he's a great commentary guy, and you need him on a show like this. It sucked if he was gone for the night. But then what happened is after the match, we have Corey Graves backstage with Kurt Angle. And we see that Corey Graves is talking with Kurt Angle, and he says something to the extent of, this could damage you. This could damage your reputation. And Angle says, well, how did you get this? I'm an Olympic gold medalist. Which he is. He did win an Olympic gold medal in real life. And Corey Graves says, I don't know. I hated to bring you this. This just came to my phone. I know people and people send me stuff. So Corey Graves was playing off the attitude of, I hate that I got this. I didn't want to get this, but this is about you, and I want to bring this to you. Now, 2 ways that I think WWE is going with this. We know eventually Stephanie McMahon's going to come back. She's going to be back. She's the real half co-owner of this company. She's Daddy's little girl as far as Vince McMahon's daughter. You're not going to keep her off TV. We know that Kurt Angle has talked about wanting to get back in the ring one more time. So I feel like this is WWE's way of building Angle leaving the general manager spot and going into a match. And this is WWE's way of getting Stephanie back. Now, are they going to involve Corey Graves? Is this going to have something to do with him? We don't know. Maybe. I don't know. We know Corey Graves has always been fine and really on Stephanie and them side when it comes to things. So maybe this is something that WWE is going to build down the road, and they want to start building now. I don't know if it's a really interesting angle. It's something that no one saw coming, which was kind of cool. And I don't know what they're going to do with this. Usually I can put my hand on a lot of stuff WWE and look at it and grab and say this is what they're going to do, but I don't know what they're going to do here. And it was really neat. But so when Graves comes back to the desk, Cole and Booker say, what was that all about? And Graves just said private, and that's all Graves said. So these 3 guys sold this whole entire segment to a T. It was a great job by all 3 guys. Then we had our co-main event, which was Joe, Wyatt, and Balor. It was a great match. It was almost as good as the main event, but not there, in my opinion. I thought the main event was better because of the chemistry of the main event, but these guys are good. Balor and Joe, we know, have history from NXT. It was a good match, and they all went back and forth. They all looked good. Balor hit the coup de grace. You thought Balor was going to get the win. He didn't. Joe did, and that was good by WWE because we've had rumors that they're battling between Rollins and Balor to win the Fatal 5-Way, and I think every fan is kind of expecting one of those two. I know I am. So it's a good way of WWE to kind of have Joe win and have it look like Joe may be a guy that wins the Fatal 5-Way. So that was good. It was a good match. It was entertaining, and Finn Balor once again got a pop from the crowd. When he came out, everybody went nuts. So he's definitely the fan favorite. He is WWE's top fan favorite right now. Because I swear, anywhere this guy goes, the crowd loves him. I mean, it's Greenville, South Carolina, and you would have thought we were in Ireland when he came out because the crowd went nuts. They started their Too Sweet chants. Again, you had kids with the jacket on, the shirts on, the Balor Club symbol on their hands. I mean, it was just, he was pumping kids' hands. He was recognizing people with his jacket on. He was recognizing people with his shirt on. Like, he was really just involved with the fans. And it was really, really good. I mean, I wish I could have been there to see this guy and interact, because anybody that had his stuff on, he went to. And it was really, really cool to see that interaction. So that happened. We had Balor and Joe and Wyatt. Joe wins the match, like I said. But then we have a Rollins promo, and he's talking about his match with Roman Reigns later on in the night. Rollins, something interesting on this promo I want to talk about is Rollins talked a lot about Samoa Joe. He really wasn't talking about the Fatal 5-Way. Now, I don't know if that's WWE's way of telling us as a fan base that this Joe and Rollins thing is not over. And I don't think it is. I think that Joe and Rollins are not going to win Sunday. And I think somehow Joe is going to blame Rollins, or Rollins is going to blame Joe, and we're going to have this thing keep going for the next pay-per-view, because I do not believe they're done with this yet. You can still do a lot more with these guys. You can have a lot more extreme matches. And I think the whole personal undertone of Rollins' knee injury and his torn ACL, and all that, you could really play off of that and really keep going with this, and I think WWE is going to. And then we had Cass come out and he confronted Corey Graves about what Graves said about Cass, knowing that what would happen to Enzo when we had Cass say it was a revival and talk about all that. And I don't know if it was Cass or the revival. It's either going to be the revival or it's either going to be a Cass heel turn. It's going to be one of the two. I think a Cass heel turn would be great. I think you could give him a heel turn, bring Carmella back to Raw. You could do that power couple thing. I mean, you could really do a lot of cool stuff with this. Or you could just have the revival beat Enzo down and take Enzo out of the picture and then just have Cass. But the revival are going to be back on Raw, and I think they've got something to do with this. And then we had Alexa Bliss do probably the best promo of the night. She picked on Bayley, and she picked on how Bayley always wanted to be a WWE superstar as a little girl. She came to every match, and how she hugs every little girl, and she makes every little girl believe in herself, and gives this very woman power-esque thing that Bayley does. And Bliss came out and destroyed it. And she pretty much told every girl in the audience that every girl could not be a superwoman, every little girl could not amount to anything, that only she could. And it was this really just wicked witch, heelish, punk, snuck up, egotistical female, and she carried it, and she sold it with her body language and her skills on the mic. Bayley came out, and then she hit Bayley with a kendo stick in the back. Once again, she was swinging for the fences. Bayley sold the pop of the stick well, made it look like it really, really hurt. Kendo, I'm sure they give them a light tap, so I'm sure it's kind of have some type of real pain to it. But Bayley got hit pretty hard. Bliss hit her. Bayley rolls out of the ring. She stands there in pain. And then you have Bliss just standing in the ring with the kendo stick and just that look on her face. I've said from day one I like Bliss. I like the heelish person that she is. I love this everything WWE does with this girl. The whole bad girl. Just everything they do with this girl is great. And she sells everything great. And I think that WWE is going to do a real good investment to themselves if they do not take the belt from her. And they keep the belt on her. Because she's the girl that every little girl loves to hate. And there's been actual times where little girls have been at Raw shows or SmackDown shows when she was on SmackDown. And they're crying. And they're in the audience and they're actually crying. And Bliss she knows it, and her character is to not care, and her character is to not care that this little girl's in the audience crying, and she sells it, and she's everything you want in a heel. She's everything you want in a heelish champion. Then we pan to Enzo's laid out. We get Cass threatening Angle. Then we get a Goldust heel montage back from his 90s. I told you I think he's going there. I think this is good by WWE to do this. This is where he needs to be, because maybe you can eventually put an IC title on him. Then we get in the main event, and we get Rollins and Reigns. This was the best match of the night. And not just because these guys have chemistry, not just because these guys were working together for a year, not because these guys in real life are best friends and they're really, really close, but just because they put on one heck of a match. Everything that they did was great from counter. They sold everything. Reigns gets the win, which everybody booed him out of the building. It was good. All that Undertaker resentment is still oozing out of so many fans. And Reigns gets the win. Rollins gets defeated, but Rollins looked great during the match. Now, what I really want to touch on before I shut this video is there was no Brock Lesnar. I expected Lesnar to ruin this main event or ruin the co-main event, and he didn't, which was good, though. It was good for WWE to keep him off. It gives Lesnar this attitude and this arrogance of, I do not care who's in this match. I can decimate any of them. They'll be a victim. But it was good. So like I said, guys, overall it was a solid show. It was 9 from top to bottom. It was perfect. It was great. So I'm excited for Extreme Rules. I'll do an Extreme Rules preview Sunday. And I'll see you tomorrow night with my Tuesday night SmackDown Live review. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel on my YouTube, my Facebook channel, Real Sports Star with Ridge Wallace. Until then, I'll see you guys soon. Have a blessed night.